What's up, everybody? Peter here. How's everybody doing? Today, we're going to talk about Scream 2022. We're going to talk about spoilers. So if you haven't seen Scream 2022, please don't watch this video. Come back later. Save it in your playlist or however you save videos on YouTube and come back to it. But I'm going to be talking about everything, a lot of things. I'm going to talk about past Scream movies. I'm going to talk about this Scream movie that we just watched on Friday. And I'm just going to say right now, I loved it. I loved the movie, and I saw it with Salpy Friday opening night at AMC. We used our A-list stubs, and I got tickets in advance, perfect seats, the last row, middle, like right in the dead center. Nobody can be chirping behind my ear. You know what I mean? I don't have to hear anything. And boom, big screen, Dolby Vision, Atmos, whatever. The experience, amazing, right? We're back in movie theaters watching a Scream movie, obviously safely. And our theater was filled with a bunch of adults, which was great. There was no kids like crying and all that stuff, which is fine. You can take your kids to movies and stuff. And just like this movie references, I saw this movie when I was 10. Just like how Mindy Meeks mentions in this film that like parents took their kids to these the Stab movies, and like they're so attached to it, and you know, all the fandom around it and all that stuff, you know. So I was like watching the movie, I'm like, that's me. That's actually me. That's how into it I was. But to me, a lot of people categorize Scream as a comedy. It's a comedy, bro. It's not even scary. To me, it was fucking scary when I was 10 years old watching this shit, because I didn't get any of the jokes and the, you know, like the in between, the meta humor. I didn't understand most of that stuff. But what I did understand is what I'm watching is real people. Okay. There's someone in a freaking Halloween costume running around and killing people. And back then, when there was the Freddy Kruegers and the Jasons and the Chuckies, those things, to me, they were like not that realistic. You know, they're supernatural entities, you know. And the Scream movie was like very real. It felt very real to me. And for the longest time, I was really scared of the mask. And I even went and got the mask for Halloween, I believe. And it got to the point where my parents, I think, honestly, they just like threw the mask away eventually because they realized how like freaked out I was, probably at nights and stuff. And I'm sure they didn't tell me, because I can't find that mask anywhere. I'm like, as the years went on, I'm like, whatever happened to my ghost face mask? But nonetheless, as I grew older and the rewatches started happening, and in my teens, and then the sequel started coming out, so I started getting older with the franchise, right? And then I started to get it even more. I got the inside jokes and all the little things, you know, and the pop culture references and all that stuff. So I love this franchise dearly. I love talking about it, especially with people that have not seen the movie yet. What I've been doing recently a lot is you guys are probably one of the ones watching this. I've been watching a lot of YouTube reaction videos of people reacting to watching this film for the first time. I'm obsessed with that. I love seeing everyone's reactions to these movies for the first time. I don't know if a lot of these reactions are real or not, or they've seen a movie before, but they're just doing these videos just to get like clicks and whatnot. I don't know, but I still watch all of them, or most of them. Sometimes like when I don't feel like it's going the way I want it to, you know, like the person's just not getting it like I get it, you know, like everyone wants everyone else to agree about their opinions, right? So even with that being said, like if you're watching this when I'm rambling right now about Scream, and I'm gonna talk about spoilers in the next one and my thoughts on it, it's just my thoughts, it's my opinions. You don't have to take it seriously. It's just what I feel or what I felt like after watching the films. So you might be somebody right now like me that's a fan. You might be even someone that's worked on these movies. You might even be the director, just sitting there in your bed right now with your wife or husband, and you're watching videos of people that are, you know, reacting to, and then you came across my video. Yes, you're probably watching this because I don't know what it is. I'm sure a lot of you do the same thing that I'm doing. And like as soon as this movie was announced, that they're gonna, you know, do. I was like, oh, my screen meter went up. I'm like on the internet, and I'm like, I need to find out every single thing, like when they're gonna start shooting, the cast, and everything. So spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. Okay, spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. Here we go. Unfortunately, about a year ago, I myself took it upon myself and I saw spoilers to this movie, like plot leaks, and then as the months went on and the weeks, it got more detailed, and there was a couple different ones, but one of them really like was very well, how do you say it? Very it felt real, like that could actually happen, realistic. And I in my mind, I always went with that one, right? And after watching the movie, it was the correct one, but it did not take away from my experience of watching the film at all. Because as a Scream fan, you're gonna watch these movies over and over again, anyways. If you're a fan of these movies, you're gonna watch it multiple times, anyways. And that's what it felt like to me. Is like I've already seen it the first time, kind of. But I was like, when I was watching it for the first time at the theater. By the way, I never told Salpy about this. I never told her that like 8 months ago or 12 months ago that I know, I already know who the killer is in this movie, you know, and like teased her or anything like that. Like I kept it to myself. I didn't go around like social media sharing that information as well. I just kept it to myself. It was just my own thing. I just wanted to see, like, in this day and age, how accurate are these people online that are saying, oh, I know how this movie's gonna be and whatnot, you know what I mean? I just wanted to like you know, pick out different opinions and ideas, and then see like how true it becomes. And then there's you people out there that actually work on these movies, or you saw a screener because you knew somebody that worked on the movie, or you're in some department that somehow you saw this movie, and then you're going online and then you're sharing this information. It's not cool. But again, you got people like me that are going to snoop around, and you're going to find these things. And then I guess there's an audience for that, for those peoples. But like, it's just like a Reddit post. Like, what do you get out of a Reddit post? Like what's the value in like sharing that information? I don't know. It's just like an ego thing, maybe, like, oh, I've seen it and you haven't, and here's everything, you know? So I just wanted to see the accuracy of those potential spoilers. You never know if it's real or not, but it just, like, when I was reading it, I was like, oh, this makes sense. This could actually, it's kind of smart, actually. But again, it did not, you know, affect my viewing. I love this movie. It was beautiful. It had its flaws, but a lot of those flaws you kind of forget about because it's just a freaking movie. We'll get into the spoilers. We're gonna get to the spoilers. I'm just rambling on. I'm just telling you about my experience with this franchise. We haven't even touched on the movie yet. I'm just talking about pre-movie, right? Again, this was I believe during the pandemic they even shot this stuff. You know what I mean? So they worked pretty hard, I'm sure, to get this out there for us. I know it was delayed a couple times, but it's here now, and I want everybody to go see it. If you're a fan, you're gonna watch it anyways, regardless. Obviously, there's some Screams that are better than others. I'll tell you what I feel my ranking is. Again, don't get mad at these people, me, anybody else, the people that hated the movie. Like, it's just their opinions, you know. And we got to respect that. We got to respect everybody's opinions, and this film like touches on that stuff, on that fandom as well, right? So okay, here we go. Let's get into the movie, right? We start with the phone call with I got the IMDb page pulled up to see like the new cast, because I don't really know their names by heart, apart from like obviously the legacy cast. Okay, let's talk spoilers right away. The killers, Richie and Amber. Okay, here's the problem I had. Not a problem, but like a giveaway for me, even before reading the plot leaks, was when the cast was announced. And I looked through the cast and I saw Jack Quaid on there. Jack Quaid, we've been watching on Amazon on The Boys, me and Salpy. So, like at that time, I believe we were watching that show, and his like name and face is like so embedded in my head that when I saw the rest of the cast of like the new people, he stood out to me the most. And then I looked at his like stature, you know, skinny. He looks kind of tall. I'm like, dude, and he's a great actor. He comes from a big family of actors. I'm like, this is like a rising star. So I'm like, this guy is the killer in this movie. You know, even if you're a real Scream fan, I don't think you mind like getting. I don't know. That's just me. Like, I didn't mind thinking that it's him. Like, even though there was a possibility that it wasn't, I still didn't mind like me predicting that, right? Even if it were to happen. And the other thing, again, like I knew that I thought of this before the movie, even any promotional things, and just by the casting choice, I looked through and I looked at the names they had, and I'm like, oh, who is, you know, like you do these things when you're like psycho into these movies, right? So that's what I did. That was my prediction. And then when I read the Reddit things like months after, and it said Amber was one of them as well, which I couldn't have predicted because, you know, I didn't know who that actually. She was in what was that movie? She was actually in with Leo and Brad Pitt in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and she actually dies the same style in that movie at the end. Spoiler alert for those of you that haven't seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Okay, so that's what I knew going into is the killers, right? So upon watching it a second time, I mean, first time, it felt like the second time I'm watching it, because now when I was watching it for the first time, I'm looking at these characters specifically, and I'm looking at like little like facial expressions, how they react to other characters saying their lines, and then when a camera cuts to them, how they react to the situation that they're in. I loved finding these little nitpicks, and then that solidified my like the spoilers that I read and the casting choice that I just like, you know, that went across my head when I saw Jack Quaid being in the film. And that's when I knew that the Reddit stuff was all accurate, you know, like the plot and everything. But I didn't know how they were going to shoot it and all that stuff. The trailers had a lot of spoilers, man. I don't know why they did it the way they did. It was so much like of the jump scares, especially. There was not a lot of jump scares in this film. Like there probably was, but it wasn't like, to me, I didn't get like there was none of that like in the theater, or like, you know, I don't know how you guys jump scare, but I usually just stood like I was just like invested in it, like, so nothing like got to me in this movie like maybe others did in the past when I was younger, obviously not when I'm an adult. No, I don't get scared when I'm an adult. But a lot of those scenes, like you can like see it coming in the film when you're watching that were in the trailers, especially Vince's character, Vince, played by Kyle Gallner. There, first of all, that scene with Ghostface and his shadow on the brick on the building, I don't think that was in the film. And then there was a shot where you see him in the window reaching down to turn off the ignition, and then he rises up. And as he rises up, this is in the trailer, the camera goes with him, and then there's Ghostface right behind them. But in the film, they cut it a little differently. They showed him down doing the key thing, and then it switches to another shot from like behind the car window, and you see him through it. And then when it cuts back, it's already Ghostface in the shot behind them, and then boom, right with the music, with that iconic song. I forget what it's called. Uh, boom, just one in the neck. I was like, ooh, I wasn't expecting that. I thought he was just gonna go after him and like slice him up more, but it just ended up Vince's character was just like he just bled and he just collapsed to the floor. All that whole like almost that whole scene, other than the actual stabbing shot, was in the trailer. So that was like a whole like giveaway thing for me. We skipped on over. I'm sorry, I went right into Vince, but we skipped over the actual opening scene. I loved it. Jenna Ortega's character, I believe that's her name, Jenna Ortega. Yes, Jenna Ortega, who played Tara Carpenter. Okay, so she was awesome. And again, the jump scenes were in the trailers. Both of them. There was two of them. It was one when as soon as she opens the door, she gets sliced. It was in the trailer. We saw it coming. The whole phone conversation was amazing. I loved how long it was. I loved how he changed Ghostface's voice. Roger L. Jackson, I believe. He like had a more normal voice, and then it got more sinister, you know, into actual Ghostface's voice, iconic voice. And the second scene, the jump scary scene, is they kept making you look that way in the beginning too. I don't know if you guys noticed, like, because you always look in the background, like to see like, you know, how they frame these films. You know, it's awesome because you're always looking like, is he gonna run by? You know, like are they gonna show something like a shadow go by? You know, as she's like facing the camera and we're looking behind her. But there was a scene, I think it was like the laundry little room where she eventually like puts her back into, and then he just comes from the shadows and grabs her. That was in the trailer as well. So that's another jump scare that was in there. The whole like him stomping on her leg and breaking it, that was in the thing. So a lot of those stuff, like you know, when you're watching a movie, you remember those things visually, and you're like, oh, you know what to expect, so you're not as scared, you know. As we go, I go through. We'll talk about, you know, other things that were in the trailer or weren't in the trailer that they try to like throw you off, but like I think they showed way too much in the trailer. Okay, so the next kill. What scene can we talk about next? Like what happens next? I'm trying to remember. I don't have any notes or anything. I'm just trying to go because it was Vince. Kyle plays Vince. Vince dies. And then the next two kills were Deputy Judy Hicks and Wes Hicks, which we'll talk about. But I want to talk about the scene where they get Dewey to come back and they're in Mindy's house and Chad's house, who are the niece and nephew of Randy's character, right? And we see Randy's sister Martha there. We don't know who the husband is, but is the husband the cameraman from Scream 2? Is it, what was that guy's name? The black cameraman who came in after Kenny, and he was like, fuck this, I'm out of here, you know, whenever all these killings started happening. I'm wondering if because I'm looking at his name. His actual last name is Martin. I'm talking so much. Excuse me. My throat's getting like dry. I should have put water here. I wasn't expecting to talk this much, but listen, if you're into Scream, you're going to be watching this because this is what I do. I watch other people's reactions and what they talk about. When I want to learn about what other people think about stuff that I love, I watch it through. So thank you for watching. If you so far, hit the like, subscribe, turn on notifications. I do other stuff. This is very different from what I usually post on my channel because I was just so into this franchise that I'm like, dude, I have to talk about this. I have to have it on my channel and like have it there forever, whatnot. So Chad Meeks Martin, okay, is the nephew, and then where is Mindy Meeks Martin? So Martin is the last name of his character. Where is he? Is he credited in this? I have to look up his actual. We gotta look up Scream 2. Dwayne Martin. Joel. He played Joel. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Duane Martin. So Martin is his real last name, right? And these new characters, their last name is Martin as well. So can he be the husband? Can he be their father? I don't know. I don't know, but that's one thing that I thought of. You know, like I'm sure a lot of people are thinking like, who are the parents of these new casts as well? Okay, let's get back into it. Okay, one of the funniest scenes in the movie for me was a line. It was a banter between Wes Hicks and Dewey when they're in the home and Mindy's talking about the new rules, the requels, and all that stuff, right? And Wes Hicks goes, "How come, like to Dewey, like you could be the killer. Your life is like in shambles." I forget what the other things he says, but he said a couple things, and then the next thing that Dewey said was, "Well, how do we know you're not the killer? Because that cut deep." And then the way he said that line, it was so funny, like, because that cut deep. Like, oh my God, I was laughing my ass off in that scene. I thought that was one of the funniest lines in the film. Shout out to whoever put that line in there. And the way he executed that line was beautiful. Okay. Okay. Marley Shelton, who plays Deputy Judy Hicks, and Dylan Manette, Wes Hicks, the next, I think, kills. Okay. She orders sushi. She goes to go pick it up, and he jumps in the shower. He's getting the dress, and then he's putting out plates. Okay, I have a question about this scene. I hope somebody that knows the answer to this leaves a comment below. But did Deputy Judy Hicks die first and then Wes dies the way we saw it in on film, or was it the other way around where Wes was already dead behind the door as the mom was trying to rush to the house and then she dies second, but we just watched it like, you know, reversed? That I'm like, because when Ghostface calls her in the car when she's on her way to pick up the sushi. By the way, that's another scene in the trailer I noticed that wasn't in this film, is her screaming when she was driving. She's like there was that shot of her in the trailer just screaming, and I don't think it was in the movie when she was like speeding back to the house to get. But Ghostface on the phone call in the car goes, "You're never gonna make it in time. You know, he's gonna be cut up, whatever." So that got me thinking, like, after obviously watching the film, I'm like, wait a second, he said that line, and then did he like do all that like while there was a phone conversation going on? Because one of the ghost faces could have been calling her and the other one could have been just doing the killings, right? So I'm like, I wonder if that so Wes like died and got the knife through his neck, the side of his neck. And then because he opens the door was open a little bit, and he went, and like the movie's trying to get us to I love the teases, by the way, like the jump scare teases. There was like 3 of them in a row. There was 3 in a row where nothing happened, right? And then the last one where he goes for the door where it was creaked open, he doesn't like, because as an audience, I'm sure we're all thinking, is he gonna open the door and see his mom there dead, and then Ghostface is gonna kill him right there and there. And that's like kind of fucked up in a way too, seeing your mom dead and then boom, you're dead too, you know? Because that would be like kind of what a psycho would want, like for you to see that and then do the deal, right? Not that I'm a psycho or anything, or a serial killer. So so yeah, that's what I want to know. If you're a writer or producer or director of this movie, or that you really know the right answer, not just like another fan like me that has a theory. I really want to know the answer to that. If it happened in the order that we saw it, or it was like the opposite. And another thing is, like, was both killers there that did like separate kills because like Judy's character gets like sliced up like 9 times. I think I counted 9 stabs, and then Wes's character, Wes, just gets like one knife through the neck. And I believe in the interviews that I've seen, they were talking about a scene that they did for real with no CGI. It was practical effect. I think this is the scene that they were talking about because they referenced Rambo, and like I know Rambo movies, there's like a lot of like knives going through the neck or the throat. So I'm assuming it was this one, but there was also the last one with Richie where he gets stabbed in the cheek, through the cheek too as well. You know what I mean? I don't know how you would do that practically. You know what I mean? So I'm assuming it's Wes, like just like on the side, like going through right here. That was pretty cool. Yeah. So leave a comment below about that specific scene that I had a question about. All right, moving on. Who goes next? Is it Dewey? Is it Dewey? Dewey. I'm trying to remember if the plot leak never mentioned that Dewey dies, by the way. So Dewey's I kind of had a feeling that he was gonna go, just because just like where his character is during this movie. You know what I mean? So let's talk about Dewey and Gale. That scene together, that first meeting they had where he was like kidding, why over a text? You texted me about Ghostface being back. That whole back and forth with them was beautiful. That was like I think I was biting my tongue, like just not to shed a tear, because just seeing, like, knowing the real life history between them, ex-husband and wife, and just like throughout the making of these movies, you just read up on like how they fell in love making these films, and you can just see it, like they're like living their like a more Dewey or David is more like the Dewey character fits him so well, because I feel like it embodies a lot of his characteristics as well, and just the way people like treat Dewey, you know what I mean? And David Arquette hasn't always had like the best rap, you know, for his like, because he's like a party boy, or he used to be. I know he's a father now. Again, I don't like talking about people that I don't know, but like that's like how he was portrayed like in the tabloids and whatnot, right? So I feel like his acting in this film was amazing, and it was great to see him go. It was. His death scene is by far my favorite death scene in all the movies. Yes, in all the Scream movies, his was what it needed to be. I wish it was a little gorier. I wanted to see some intense intestines like fall out, so we get the whole, like, you know, because there was a girl in Scream 4, I forget her name, in the bedroom scene. That was the most gruesome one, I think, where her whole intestines were out on her bed, and the whole bedroom was all bloody and stuff. I think that one was like the most brutal one. I wish they would have like added one more thing for Dewey. Okay, Dewey. Again, like stuff that I hate. Okay, we're gonna talk about another thing. Speaking of hate, because I haven't talked about a lot of hate stuff. The whole scene outside Judy's house, like in the daylight, nobody's around, like everyone's on lockdown. It's COVID. I got over it, right? Whatever. But you still like think about these things, like, oh my God, there's nobody there. Oh, another thing I wanted to talk about. It just reminded me. Speaking of being nobody being out there and stuff. The opening scene, we're going to rewind to the opening scene where doors unlocked, doors locked, doors unlocked, all the smart home technology stuff, right? There's no freaking cameras in this movie. Come on, like Gale, like the technology has come so far now from like when she was putting that big ass webcam in the Scream 4 in the stab marathon scene. Like, come on, they didn't put it in this movie. I was expecting, like, because they were doing the whole new tech with the home security. home security systems have freaking cameras as well. You know, there's a package deal that goes around. So there's these little nuances that like, why didn't they do that? They should have done something with that. Like something, their servers are down. Cause like, you know, my Nest app always like, not always, but once in a while, the service has an interruption or something and you can't really unlock your door and stuff. Maybe they could have played with that, like happening to the smart home where they just didn't want to go there with the cameras because it would be too obvious. Because like Deputy Judy Hicks, as like protective as she is, she would definitely would have cameras outside the house. When Ghostface calls, she would like, you would get an alert. You know, like there's a like when someone comes at your door at your doorbell, you get a notification on your phone nowadays, right? That there's a person there or a package delivered or something, right? So if they're doing the unlock door thing, I wish they did the camera thing as well and then figured out a way, like been very witty to like have like a counter for that as well, you know? Because there's a lot of ways that can happen. Like I'm not going to go into it because that's going to give people ideas, but there are ways around home security camera systems like that are with the apps and stuff, right? So that's the whole thing about being in broad daylight, not there not being any cameras, because even like your doorbell like shoots out to like across the street from you. Come on, one of those streets had cameras or something, right? And another thing to go that reminded me, she made a phone call to get the police department to her house, right? This is why I'm thinking that the timing, excuse me, was changed, because she makes a phone call, right, for the cops. And even during Wes's whole scene where him getting out to shower, and he doesn't even hear the sirens that her mom is blaring as she's pulling up to the house, right? And there's no other police like showing up, because that was like a dragged out kind of scene with him getting putting clothes on, getting out the shower, putting plates out, going through the fridge and whatnot, and then going to the door, right? Like that was a long time. Like this isn't like a big city, like it's a little town, Woodsboro, right? There should have been able to like come there unless they were like stuck at the hospital, you know what I mean? In that we'll get to the hospital right now, back to the hospital because of Dewey. So yeah, the cameras, the cops not sure, but again, these little things like doesn't affect the movie for me. Like it's a freaking movie, right? They had to like, but you think about it, like, because you think you're smarter than the people that are making the movie, right? That's what it is. But and then I want to be a writer writing these movies, and I want to be in these movies too. But anyways, back to Dewey. His death was the best, but I hated again. He didn't go for the fucking head. How many movies have we told Dewey? The head. Aim for the head. I think it was in Scream 3, first time it was mentioned when Roman, to Roman. And then the next time in Scream 4, I think, was it Scream 4? It was one of those or both of those for sure. That aim for the head. Come on, Dewey, you have to know this. I know it's been a while and you're a lot older now. You might have forgot. You might have been rusty, you know, like that's why he was like, oh, I forgot. You got to go for the head. But like as a movie viewer, we're like, why didn't you do it the first time? Come on. It's been so many movies. That was like, that's when I knew when he said, I'm going to turn around and go back. Oh, that he was going to be a goner. But I just remembered another thing I was going to mention about people's reactions. Remember I was saying like the watching it, knowing who the killers are. I wanted to look at little things, the giveaway stuff. And one of the biggest ones was when Dewey shoots Ghostface, when Richie is there with what's her face? Who's the main Melissa Barrera that plays Sam Carpenter? Yeah. So Sam is there. Jack is there, where he gets sliced on the arm, and then Dewey shoots Ghostface right in front of Richie, and they cut to Richie, and Richie's like, he looked annoyed. He looked annoyed for just a second. He looked pissed. He's like, "Fuck, we fucked it up. We fucked it up. Like, what's gonna happen? Like, what do I gotta do? I gotta do this shit." alone now, or you know what I mean. But obviously, Ghostface is wearing a bulletproof vest. Gale calls Dewey after he goes back alone, obviously, to finish it and go for the head and whatnot. Gale distracts Dewey, and it gets gooey. And the front, the back where he's been stabbed, I've had back surgery as well, and it's not fun, right? And then opening the old wounds and just slicing all the way up. I just wanted to see the intestines just fall out, but it was bloody. It was great. Great scene. And the lines. Oh, did you guys notice this? He goes, whenever he's fighting with Ghostface before that, and then he goes, what does he say? He goes, not today. And then he gets the knife away from his face, right? And throws her, Amber, obviously that's Amber in the costume, throws her out. And I've been seeing people like say they didn't like that scene where she was manhandling him and she's like 100 pounds or whatever, and it's not realistic. But come on, he's older and he's had surgery, his neck, his spine, whatever. Like, he's an injured guy. He's a little handicapped. So come on, it's just a freaking movie, dude. So, oh, I'll get to like an idea of mine at the end of the movie that just reminded me, but I'll get back to it. Okay. If you're still watching this, what are we at? We're at almost 40 minutes of this just talking about Scream. If you're still here, thank you so much. Hit the like, subscribe, turn on notifications. I just love talking about this movie. I could talk about this movie forever. So where were we? Oh yeah. So he goes, not today. Right. And then he shoots her and then he leaves and then he comes back, he gets stabbed. And then Ghostface looks at him and goes, yes, today. It's an honor. Oh my good. And then the music. Oh my goodness. That was beautiful. That's how you kill off a legacy character. Beautiful. Mwah. No complaints there. I know people are going to be mad that, oh, they killed Dewey. Like we were mad when they killed Randy. These movies are going to move on with or without us and with or without some of these characters. Sydney, when they're going to do it, they have to do it. Or do they have to do it? I don't know. I'm not going to tell them what they need to do, but that's interesting, right? But anyways, what's next? Where do we go? We talked about Dewey's death. Who dies next? Chad gets attacked. He doesn't really die. What else did I want to talk about? Mindy gets attacked while watching the scene from his uncle in a Stab movie. Randy, behind you. That was a little played out, right? Another giveaway was so the Amber giveaway to me was there was a scene where Richie and her go back and forth just a little bit, like Netflix boy or something. Like they go back and forth and they're like annoyed that they're like trying to like tell on the other person kind of in front of the cop and stuff. That was a little hint to me as well for Amber. And towards the end when Richie goes off to put Tara in the car while Sam and Nev's character Sydney is talking at the hospital lobby, I think it was, where Sam just wanted to get her sister out of there with Richie, and they're just gonna leave Woodsboro, and that scene where he goes off, and then when they get back in the car, Tara says, "Oh, where's my inhaler?" And then we saw that in the beginning of the movie when she used her inhaler. I'm like, oh, that's gonna come in handy for sure. It's gonna be something, it's a red herring, they say. So I knew right away when they're like, oh, we got to go to Amber's house. I'm like, Amber's house? Why are they going to stop at Amber's house? Because I already know she's the killer, right? In my mind. I'm like, why are they going there? And then it turns out Amber's house is actually Stu's house. So I, even if I didn't know it was Amber, like, isn't that kind of a giveaway too? Like, why is Amber's house Stu's house? You know what I mean? It's too coincidental when you find that out. Like, I don't know why. It would have been cool if it wasn't her actual house, but she was renting it like an Airbnb. That would have been so nice. That would have been so cool. Like, oh, like she found out that this house is up for Airbnb. Oh my, I don't know. Again, I don't like telling people how to do these movies and stuff. It's just my idea. Don't get mad at me. But that just came to my mind. That would be so sick if that was like the thing that, oh my God, she found out, like her and Richie found out in the forums or whatever, where this address was to Stu's house where these murders happened. And you know, she rented it out for like a party for going away for after Wes passed away actually in the movie, but it was also the for Wes banner in the Stu's house. That was beautiful, like tribute for Wes Craven. But yeah, that's when I knew that Richie had taken the inhaler, because there had to be a way for him. They had to like detour away from going away from Woodsboro to, they got to end up at Amber's house. There has to be a way that they have to end there. Like, so that was so easy for him to just, as he was rolling her out, like grabbed it from her bag or something, right? So I knew, I'm like, oh, this is it. It's really happening. So at the house again, Chad gets chased and stabbed a couple times. And then Richie pulls up with the car, I believe, and distracts Ghostface from my voice. I wish I had water next to me. And distracts Ghostface from finishing off the kill, actually. But we forget about it. We actually think that, oh, it's over for him, right? But he survives at the end, as we see. Mindy gets attacked while watching the movie, like we talked about. And then, oh my God, my voice. We've been talking for 42 minutes, baby. Liv's character. Oh, I like this. I love the Amber thing where she's like just so annoyed of everything that she just like pulls out the gun and like, fuck this. Boom, shoots Liv right then and there. Like she didn't even want to go through the whole back and forth with her. That was great. That was great. And she did a similar thing, which I kind of knew from the trailers watching it, after knowing that it was Amber, like watching the trailers back and seeing her like fake screaming like in front of the Stu's house. I'm like, oh, that's got to be like her fake thing. Like it kind of reminded me when Stu and Randy were like, oh, it's him, no, it's me. And then Stu was like, no, it's Randy, it's him. You don't remember that scene in the first one when they're walking up to Sydney, and she has to make a choice who to believe, and she's like, fuck both of you, and then closes the door, right? So I loved how she shoots Liv right away, no questions asked, bye. And then outside, whenever Sydney and Gail pull up and they talk about, oh, are you ready for this, you know, and then they go, and then Amber comes out with a screaming thing. And then whenever Amber realizes that like they're not buying the whole fake thing, she's like, fuck this. And then she shoots Gail. I loved Amber's like just quick, like she goes from like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, to like, oh, that guy died like a pussy. Like when she mentions how Dewey died to Gail, how he died like a pussy. That was freaking crazy. Because that's how people felt like watching it happen, right? And then she straight up tells you like, that dude just, I killed that dude. Like I did that. Spoiler alert, Game of Thrones fans. I'm gonna mention something. Game of Thrones. Was it Arya Stark who killed the Night King, or was it the not Winter Soldier, but you know, like she got to get after all those years of Game of Thrones, okay? She was the one who got that kill, that satisfaction, and people hated it. I don't know why. Just because she was like a little tiny body, and then like the whole dropping the knife, boom. I love that stuff. But again, even with this movie, I've been seeing people, again, it's their opinion, but like realistically, that couldn't happen kind of thing. it's just a freaking movie, dude. Just enjoy for what it is. It's fun. It's a popcorn flick, and we get to talk about it and laugh about it, cry with about it, whatever. Like this is what movies is all about. This is what it's all about, discussing these movies. And it's is this fandom? There's toxic fandom, I guess, and then there's fandom, like how they talk about in this movie, which irritated a lot of people apparently as well. But again, I'm sitting there and watching it as a movie. I don't take these things that seriously. I love them. I'm gonna talk about them. That's how seriously I take them. But like as far as like the whole, oh, they're poking fun at these type of people and stuff, I don't know. It doesn't bother me. What else can we talk about? I mean, we can talk about anything, but I'm trying to get, it's a freaking 40+ minute video. Oh, you know what threw me off was going back to something I didn't necessarily like. It threw me off a lot was Billy's de-aging face, CGI, whatever they did with that. Cause it kind of distracted me from that moment. Cause I was like, is this like full CGI? Like I was like looking, because I'm trying to think of like how they pulled it off, you know? I was like, did they just take lines from like the old maybe movies and then they added it into like a full CGI? But I think they actually had them back for these new lines. And I don't know if they like filmed him and then they de-aged him, or they just made like that's what threw me off. It just didn't look right. And I didn't even pay attention to what they were saying at that time. So when I rewatch it, I'm gonna have to like just pay attention, just get it out of my head that it's a freaking CGI thing. And that was the only thing. I wish maybe, I don't know how they could have done it differently. Like maybe if she had a picture of him like from the diary or something, and had his voice, so she would constantly just look at the photo, you know, and then like his voice would speak to her, you know, and that's what would get her to do the certain things that she did throughout the movie. And speaking of throughout the movie, at the end when she finally Billy finally gives her a hint that actually the shot was looking, I thought they were gonna do something with the umbrella, right? But I guess the knife was it slid under the umbrella. And that's what Billy's character like hints at her to go grab that knife that's under the umbrella. Like he does, like, I don't know if he went like this or he just like gave the nod like that. Like, but that could have been another thing. Like when she fell to the floor, maybe that photo that keeps his voice in the back of her mind throughout her upbringing, like maybe that photo like fell to the ground as well when she was like you know, or it was a necklace with his photo, I don't know. But like the CGI just threw me off. I think they did it on purpose too. Like they were making fun of like these movies that do the de-aging thing, so I think it's part of that as well. Actually, no, the more I think about it, like it was done purposely, right? But like again, this is my opinion. This is just like how maybe I would have done it, but it doesn't matter how I would have done it because it would never happen, right? But I just want to talk about it. Can I not talk about it? I just want to talk about it, and you guys hear about it and comment about it, and then we can go back and forth in the comments. So I don't know why I'm having so much fun with this video, but again, I love talking about these movies. Well, this movie in particular, this franchise in particular. So imagine like a photo of Billy fell on the ground, and then again we hear his voice only and telling her it's under the fucking umbrella thing, right? And then she grabs a knife, and then she tells Richie, there's one thing you should or what does she say? Like, don't fuck with the daughter of a serial killer. I think that whole thing was the whole execution of that line was like too long. Like this, she had to say every single like word. Like, couldn't she just say, don't fuck with the daughter of a killer, just a killer, not serial killer? Just take one little word away, you know, just to make it shorter, because you just want to get that right in there, right? Like without him like reacting. Like he could have done something like during that whole speaking time, right? And then she just goes, oh my goodness. She went nuts. That was great. And then she wipes the knife with her bare hand. slices the throat because he mentions right in the car like, when are we gonna slice some throats or some shit like that, and then she actually did that at the end, cut his throat, Richie's throat, and wipes the knife with her bare hands. That was awesome. And then again, things. Oh, that actual scene of her like going for the initial stab, that was in the trailer, right? Um, there was the Amber lighting on fire in the trailer as well. And I didn't even understand what she said. Something like hand san. Did she say hand sanitizer after Sydney threw the bottle at her? The alcohol, was it alcohol? Like, is alcohol really like flammable like that? Like, I don't know. But she got lit the fuck up. That was kind of. I wish again that scene. I wish they did better too. The execution of that scene, like the whole like getting shot again. Gail didn't go for the head. One, you guys gotta just do what you say you're gonna do, right? But they don't do it. But that's part of the whole thing, the tropes, right? But you would think after all these movies that they would learn. Come on, man. So she gets shot a bunch of times, and then she like falls, turns around, and then like switches on the stove, and then like lands on it and lights on fire. I wish it was like, I wish the stove was already on or something. You know what I mean? And her hair caught off like she as she was getting shot, because her hair was like long. So that's what I thought, was her hair was gonna catch on fire. I wish like somebody was like putting tea on or some shit, and then like it was already on, and then she just fucking goes back, or even popcorn. That would have been funny too, right? They were doing popcorn. And then her head falls back as she's like falling. She falls like against the stove on the floor, and her hair is up there on the fire, and it catches fire, and then she starts burning, and then she can like stand up because she's burning so much, and that would have been cool too. But again, just my opinion, just my thoughts after watching it. See, after you watch stuff, it's easy for you to critique it. You know what I mean? So who knows what these people went through like to make this happen to begin with, just for us to have another movie. So I really appreciate it. I'm not like, it's nothing personal or anything about the way it was done. Again, I loved this movie. I loved all of the movies. My goodness. How do people freaking talk for this long without their voice getting like crazy? Okay. Anyways, moving on. What can we move on to? So Courtney survives, Sydney survives, Sam survives, Tara survives. We find out Mindy is okay. She gives a thumbs up, and then the camera pans, and she's actually giving a thumbs up to her brother Chad. Chad is alive as well in the back, giving a thumbs up. I actually like Chad's character a lot more than I thought I would, because he's like the jock kind of thing. But he was smart. He was smart, and a lot of these characters were smart to think about it. They weren't that like, ooh, doo, 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 doo. I think Liv maybe was the most ooh, doo, 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 doo. Mindy was super smart for sure. She knew all the rules and all that stuff, obviously. The whole hospital scene, it kind of threw me off where it was so empty, but I don't know if I read somewhere or somebody mentioned it. I don't know if it's true. Let me know in the comments that they were on a private floor, so the private floor. But again, you don't have doctors, nurses. I know there was a cop that they showed like that got killed, but they didn't show his like death. I wonder if they cut that out for timing purposes. Even I wonder if they cut Vince's scenes like short because of that as well. I think they said somewhere where I think Amber said she Googled Vince, and he's a cousin to or a relative to Stu. I think she said something like that, and it was just so convenient the way she said it too. Like you know what I mean? Like, oh, she found out right now. I remember something like that now that I think about it. So yeah, those people survive, and then we get a 4 West after the whole like little flash of Ghostface, or before that we get 4 West, and then we get the whole like the Ghostface flash, which usually means they're gonna have another one. I mean, they're gonna dethrone Spider-Man. I think tomorrow, Monday, they'll announce the new numbers for over the weekend, and I hope it made enough money where the Paramount moves forward with like another one. Obviously, we need another three. I think this is the perfect like start to another trilogy. Okay, and that's what I think. Okay, now what I think about the future, or just a thought that came up, that came to my head just these past couple of days thinking about this movie. I liked Tara's character a lot more than Sam. I don't know why. I don't know why, but maybe it was meant that way. But Tara. So here's what I want. Or again, with what I want. Who cares what I want, right? Who cares what the fucking fans want? But the fandom, the toxic fandom. No, but what I would love to see, or what would be cool to see, is if Sam is the opening death in the next film. So right away you kill her off, right? And then Tara is the final girl moving forward. She's like the new Sydney Prescott of this franchise moving forward. I think that would be really interesting to see Sam's character kind of play the role of how Casey Becker, Drew Barrymore, dies within the first, 10-15 minutes of the first one, after she's been so heavily advertised in the marketing and whatnot, big name. But how cool would that be, just to have like Sam be that first kill, like death? Like, what other, it would have to be either Sam, Sydney, or Gail be the first kill for it to make sense, I think, to have a continuation to the story. One of those three has to be the opening kill, I think. Again, this is what I think. Let me know what you guys think as far as the future of this franchise. If you are a director, producer, writer, anything, and you see this video, I appreciate the work you guys did, and women and whoever worked on it and put me in the next movie. Thank you very much. And that's about it. I think I'm probably going to forget some things, but I've rambled on way too long for this. Hopefully you guys stuck with me. This is almost like a reaction video without like actually reacting to it, with how everybody's doing reaction videos these days. We're just talking about it. It's just me, a microphone, and the camera, and we're just talking. We're making eye contact. Look at me, looking at my teleprompter mirror thing that lets me do that. That's really cool, right? That's about it. I have nothing else to say. Follow me at PETERSARK on TikTok. We're almost at 50,000 on there. And subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can follow me on Twitter at PETERSARK or Instagram at Peter the Leader. I will see you guys. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day wherever you are. Stay safe. And can't wait to watch this back, whether it's in the theaters or on Paramount Plus, which will be dropping, I think, in 45 days after the movie hit theaters. So I am out. Peace.